Imagine you're at home. It's early, before sunrise. There's a knock at the door. Not a polite neighbor wants to borrow sugar kind of knock, but we're coming in anyway. Boom. You open the door and see masked men in SWAT gear. No name tapes, no visible badges, just the word police or ICE on a vest. They don't have a warrant. They don't have a specific crime they're investigating. They just have a hunch and a quota. Now, if you're a left-wing fan of the squad, you might think, see, this is why we need to defund the police. Or if you're a MAGA conservative, you might think, well, if you have nothing to hide, what's the big deal? Secure the border. America first. But I bet there are a lot of you out there who, like me, see crazy for what it is. No matter if it's some boiling Bolshevik or some member of the toddler president's cult. I bet that enough of you still realize that when the government gets the power to ignore the rules for some people, it eventually ignores the rules for all people. We're talking about the Fourth Amendment, the one that's supposed to be the keep out sign on the front lawn of your life. So here's a refresher course for you. The Fourth Amendment says, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. Notice it doesn't say the right of the voters, the right of people who like Trump. It doesn't even say the right of the citizens. It says the people. And for over a century now, the Supreme Court has been pretty clear. If you are standing on American soil, you are protected by the Bill of Rights. Why? Because our founders didn't believe rights were coupons handed out by the government to its favorite customers. Some of the founding fathers, as they're called, were actually immigrants themselves. One of my favorites, Thomas Paine, was actually invited by Ben Franklin. Paine, and I suggest you read his works, Common Sense and the Age of Reason, was almost killed in the French Revolution. He's from England, but he was in France and narrowly escaped. And he wasn't involved. He wasn't an actor in the French Revolution, but just in the terrors with Robespierre and all of those guys, just got caught up, and they were just wholesale chopping heads off, which shows you what can happen when government gets out of control. Revolutions are a dangerous thing. They never almost they don't end up how they start, and the people in charge at the end are rarely the people who launched it. But the founders believed that rights were natural. You have them because you exist. The Constitution is not a list of things the government gives you. It's a list of things the government is forbidden from doing to you. The idea we hold these truths to be self-evident, and these rights are inalienable. The rights don't come from the government. The Constitution and these documents merely elucidate what the rights are. That's the principle. The government does not give you the rights. You're born with them. But the Trumpire seems to have missed that day in civics class, or maybe they just don't care, because they've treated and are treating the Fourth Amendment like some kind of terms and conditions page that you have to click on to get your free download and to then ignore. And under the guise of national security and, as they call it, extreme vetting, we're seeing a surge in warrantless detentions. So you know today if they're coming for your neighbors, tomorrow they might be coming for you. And if you are some red hat MAGA bro, remember, Trump won't be in power forever, and everything they are doing today sets a precedent, meaning that it can be done in the future. The only way to truly protect yourself is to oppose tyranny in all of its forms, no matter who's in power, and especially when the people you like are in power, because whatever you cede to them when it comes to your personal freedoms are going to be used by the other guys when they get in power. And I don't care if you're talking about the Roman Empire or whatever. All governments come to an end. And even if, like the Chinese will say, we've got a 4,000 year history. That's true, but you have all these different dynasties, right? And so whoever's in power is not going to be in power. And so just remember, whatever you think is cool now is going to be cool when somebody else that you maybe don't like will be in power. So the only way to protect yourself is to oppose tyranny in all of its forms and to realize that there's really little difference between the fascists and the communists. They're all totalitarians and you're screwed either way. Or you might think, hey, I'm a citizen, I've got my passport, I'm safe. According to a recent investigation by ProPublica and the Cato Institute, over 170 U.S. citizens have been detained by immigration agents just in the first 9 months of 2025. And we're talking about people like George Rettis, an American combat veteran who was disappeared into the system for 3 days without a lawyer, missing his daughter's birthday. Or Leonardo Garcia Venegas, a 25-year-old in Alabama who literally held up his real ID, the high security ID the government forced us all to get, and the agents called it a fake and threw him in handcuffs anyway. This is the intellectual greatness of the Trumpire. They've built a machine so big, so intrusive, and so clumsy that an innocent combat veteran is falsely detained as an illegal migrant. Are you MAGA folks seriously okay with this? And if so, please explain to me in the show comments. Why is this okay? And when you give the state the power to detain those people without due process, don't be shocked when the state decides you look like those people today. This is what happens when you replace the rule of law with the rule of the hunch. So what's the alternative? Do we just have open borders and chaos? No, at least that's not what I believe in. That's the false choice that this duopoly sells you. It's like if you don't get in line behind their nonsense, you must like another form of nonsense. Well, how about if you're for no nonsense and like sense? And that's the point. That's what we're about. Imagine a servant government that does not treat its own population as a menace, where you're not guilty until proven innocent. A servant government is humble. It admits it doesn't have the intellect to perfectly sort 300 million, 330 million, 340 million, what are we at now? People by sight or by your phenotype, by what you look like. Phenotype. A servant government follows due process. It understands that probable cause isn't a suggestion, it's a requirement. If you want to seize a person or their effects, get a warrant from a judge with evidence. A servant government focuses on local control. Why are mass federal agents now running neighborhood raids? A sane system would leave policing to local and state authorities who are actually accountable to the people they live next to. The FBI is for interstate organized crime and threats to us as a country. BATF and Customs and Border Protection have, under normal circumstances, an honorable mission. But the toddler president is turning them into some kind of his own Praetorian Guard. We don't need a big government of the left or a big government of the right. We need a government that is financially, fiscally disciplined enough to stop wasting billions on detention theater and socially tolerant enough to let people live their lives without checking their pockets every 5 minutes. The current administration, the Trumpire's policies aren't just bigoted or nativist, they're ineffective. They're the hallmark of an administration that values optics over intellect. They want to look tough, but all they've managed to do is make every American citizen or not a little less secure in their persons, houses, and papers, as cited in the Fourth Amendment. It's time to stop falling for the law and order branding when the people in charge are the ones breaking the highest law in the land, the Constitution. You want to secure the country? Start by securing our civil liberties. Demand a government that stays in its role, a government that serves rather than scares. The next time someone tells you we need to suspend the rules to be safe, remind them that the rules are the only thing keeping them out of the detention facilities where native-born citizens have been sequestered by mistake in quotes. Look around at governments that have suspended the rules. and you'll see that you get tyranny. You'll see that you've gotten the worst atrocities in history when that happens. If someone tells you that if you don't like one party, you have to embrace the other, they're a liar. The system being set up to protect and enshrine only two parties that both really do the same thing, borrow BS and buy and sell off our future, leaving our grandkids in hock, is a scam. And you ought to be tired of being fleeced by both of these bands of brigands before it's too late. The Bolshevik Democrats and the MAGA Republicans have created a duopoly and have our country in a stranglehold. We're going to continually crawl through the same crap if we don't break this duopoly and as citizens enforce political and intellectual plurality. They say people get the government they deserve. So if we sit on our asses and accept that our republic is being replaced by a personality cult, we deserve what's coming. And it'll be hard at the beginning. People say, oh, you can't, don't be silly. Don't waste your vote, throw away your vote. What they're saying is shut up and accept things as they are. But the system is rigged, and you cannot expect the two parties who rigged it to rectify it without real outside pressure. I'm Lauren Moss, and this is E Pluribus Unum, out of many one. Thanks for listening. Give us a like and subscribe. Please, it helps. If you are listening to this on a podcast, and we're everywhere, so just find us on whatever you prefer. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We are, what they used to say back in the days, we're rolling with Rush, back in the 80s, the rappers like Run DMC and all those guys. But seriously, we are on Audible from Amazon. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on, I already mentioned iTunes, obviously YouTube. So if it's YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. If it's on the podcast, not just subscribe, but also give us a great rating if you think we deserve it, and be sure to subscribe. And what do you think? Am I right? Tell me in the comments. Am I wrong? Tell me why. Don't just say, oh, you're a dummy. But tell me why. Give me a reasoned argument as to where I'm getting things wrong, because I really want to hear from you. Will or remorse, do them.